So let's get started to make this beautiful little top. It's pretty easy, but let me know if you have any questions down below. Part 1. This is the easiest part. We're just going to get our fabric ready. I would recommend pre-washing it if you can, but steam would also be good. So lay out all your little pieces and then cut them out carefully. Part 2. So here we're just going to sew up the sides and the center back. I also would recommend serging the top and bottom. It makes it easier to turn the hem later. Part 3. This part is also optional, but I went ahead and marked the fold line on the right side of the fabric just because it makes it easier for me to see how far I have to fold it. So I'm doing this on the top and the bottom. And then we're gonna head over to the machine, and as you can see, you see the fold line when I fold it over. We're just gonna sew right at the edge all the way down, and we're gonna do this for the top and the bottom. I just like to do this first because I don't like to mess around with pins. And then we're gonna take it to the iron and just flatten it up. And when you're ironing, remember to let it cool down before you move it, otherwise it'll just get all crinkly again. We're going to start folding that flap in at the neckline, and it's about 1/2 inch. And you're going to do this for the front and back. Go ahead and fold it down all the way, and then after that you are going to fold it all the way where you can finally see that exposed line. You're going to just sew it at 1/2 inch. This initially is going to be the channel for your elastic. You can always sew this wider if you need to. It depends on the width of your elastic. Now the top portion should have both of its elastic channels. Part 4. We're going to start doing the elastic channels for the bottom. I always like to start at the side because it makes it look cleaner. We're going to do a similar technique that we did before. It's just going to be a little different. So again, the reason why I like to mark the right side is when I fold it, I do see that line, and it just makes it easier and I make less mistakes. Line up your fabric to the inside of the foot, so all the way around the waist. Be careful not to stretch the fabric out while you're sewing. After that's done, take it back to the iron and flatten that out. Now we're going to sew above that stitch line to start creating the elastic channel. We're going to sew it at about 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to sew all the way around. And I recommend to start and end your stitch at the side seam to make it look cleaner. After that second stitch is done, we're going to fold in the serge stitch to create a clean inside. I'm not using any pins because my fabric creases easily, but I would recommend using pins. Make sure to start your stitch behind the side seam. It just makes it easier for later. I'm going to start stitching at the 1 1/4 inch mark all the way around. Make sure to leave an opening for your elastic. Now that the elastic channels are all done for the body, we're going to move on to the sleeves. Part 5. Alrighty then, we are almost there. So first we're going to have to do the cap sleeve. So in order to do that, we're going to stitch a line all the way down, but we have to gather the fabric. We're going to stitch all the way down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And to slightly gather our fabric, we're going to just keep our thumb behind the presser foot as we sew. Make sure to keep the pressure behind the presser foot as the fabric slowly gathers behind the foot. When I feel like there's a lot of fabric behind the presser foot, I lift my thumb to release the fabric, and then I just repeat the step over again to gather it. And now you see afterwards it has a very slight gather. And since this part is curved, it helps you fold it down. So start folding it all the way down and use that fold line to help you know how much you should fold it. Now sew all the way down. You're going to sew it at 1/2 inch. After that, you should have a very clean hem. So first you're going to sew the sleeve sides together, and then we're going to get started on the elastic channel for the bottom of the sleeve. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're just going to baste down all the way around the sleeve, right at the edge. And then we're going to sew our second stitch at the 3/4 line. Then we're going to flip the serged edge in to create a clean finish. Do that all the way around. We're going to sew behind the side seam, and we're going to sew that final line at the 1 1/4 line. Remember to leave an opening for the elastic. Part 6. Now it's time to put the elastic in. I always like to use a safety pin for this. You're just going to hook the safety pin onto the elastic and pull it through. After that, you're going to take both ends and sew them together on your machine. I always like to stretch it out after to even the elastic. And then make sure to sew the opening closed. And do the same for the top, and then you're done with your sleeves. Part 7. Time to do the elastic for the bodice. I measured my own waist and my chest size for these elastic measurements. We're going to take our safety pin and slip the elastic through the top and bottom. I finished the waist. Time to do the neckline. Now we're done putting the elastic through the bodice. Part 8. After all these years, we're at the final step. Now we're just going to attach the sleeves to the bodice, which is easy because it's not a full sleeve. We're basically just attaching it to the armpits. And voila, baby, it's done. I have both these patterns on my Etsy. The link is down below. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to like and subscribe.